Hello everyone, Bertina Amy here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing a Dollar Tree DIY Perpetual Chinese New Year wreath. So I grabbed two of these bike wheel wreath forms from Dollar Tree, and since the original purchase of these, I discovered that Dollar Tree is currently running a sale, at least at my local one, for 25 cents on just these wreath forms. So get them while you can before they run out. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with one first. And I'm also going to use two of these red velvet ribbons with gold trim. These are from Temu, but you can certainly use ribbon from Dollar Tree or from any place else. It doesn't have to be Temu. They do have red ribbon with gold accents at Dollar Tree, and they do have red velvet ribbon, but it's a deeper shade of red, so it's totally up to you what you want to use. I believe mine are 10 yards each roll, but in any case, I take it out of the package and I fold it in half both ways to get the middle of the ribbon. So what I'm trying to do here is place the ribbon over top one of the pie shapes, as I'm calling them, and I'm placing the left side of the ribbon under the bar on the left and the right side of the ribbon over the bar on the right. Then pull them around the bars, making sure the ribbon on the right goes over the ribbon on the left while they cross over, and then repeat the pattern. Then make sure to repeat that for the remaining pie shapes. However, since I plan to do this on another wreath form, I realized that 2 rolls of 10 yards was not enough for this project and decided to pivot the plan for this project. So what I did for this first wreath was I took another similar width in ribbon that I had a whole roll of, even though it didn't match. I went ahead and used it to finish up 2 of my pie slices so that I could make sure it stuck onto the wreath form. And I'm not worried about it, honestly, because I'm going to be covering it up with florals anyways. So I just go ahead and attach them with hot glue, making sure to put them underneath the better quality ribbon. Then I finish the wrapping by making sure there's enough to go over the edge and then wrap it and glue it behind itself. I hope that makes sense. But I try to continue the pattern until I get to the edge of the pie shape. Then I make sure to flip it to the correct side and make sure that all the flaps or excess pieces are pulled out over the pie-shaped bar. So then I do the rest off camera and decide to use as much of the last bit of ribbon on the other pie shapes, leaving one empty, as this is my pivot. So I bring in the original one that I made in the beginning, placing it over top the other wreath form. Then I go around the outer edge, pulling the ribbons to make sure both flaps are over both bars that are still exposed, because the ultimate goal here is to be able to wrap both ribbons, or whatever ribbons you got on the excess there, to be able to wrap them over the edge of the bars so that way it connects both wreath pieces to each other. I hope that makes sense. So here I'm just going around the outer edge to glue the excess pieces around and over the bars so they could be glued behind the wreath. And here in this pie shape, I had a piece of ribbon that was just a little too short to be able to finish it off. So I go ahead and use a little scrap bit of other ribbon to be able to finish it and glue it to the back. I hope that makes sense, and that way it could all look as cohesive as possible. So here, not looking for perfection, but just trying to make everything work. Next, I want to cover up any potential gaps as a result of these ribbon wrapping pie shapes. So I grabbed these velvet florals from Dollar Tree. They're red with a little bit of gold accents. And I went ahead and bought 3 of them so that I can make sure that all 12 pie shapes can be covered, minus the one that we're not ribbon wrapping, and instead that one's going to go in the center to cover up the middle of that. So I just go ahead and pull off all of the florals off their stems and glue them strategically to make sure anything I want covered is covered, especially the pie shape that had a different style of ribbon and texture of ribbon. So I want to make sure that none of that is seen. And of course, I cover up the middle of the wreath as well to cover up that black center. And I hot glue any petals down to make sure everything looks cohesive. And of course, if you wanted to, you could even further embellish this more than it currently is, but this is where I'm going to stop and focus on the functionality of this piece. And I nearly forgot that actually the back bars of the open pie shape was actually really bothering me, so I pulled this gold ribbon that I also had on hand from Dollar Tree, and I decided to use hot glue to glue it upon itself, but wrapping around the black bars that are exposed. That way, instead of seeing black bars, we'll see the gold ribbon instead. Next, I had this pack of mini wood frames from Dollar Tree. They come 4 in a pack, and I thought it would be super cool to go ahead and paint one of them in gold. And I had this gold metallic paint from Folk Art. And I'm just painting the entire surface area and letting it dry. So while that dries, I'm bringing the wreath back in and some regular basic twine. I'm going to start by tying a knot on here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the gold ribbon is a little bit too plasticky for my liking. It doesn't grip with hot glue. So I'm using twine to ensure that the bars will have some grip to them when I add hot glue to it. I hope that makes sense. So I'm simply just tying a knot at first, and then I'm taking the string, wrapping it around once, and then pulling the tail end through, and then making a knot and repeating and going on until I cover the entire pie section. Then after the last knot, I cut off the excess and then just hot glue the little tail ends to themselves and then just hide them from behind if I can. Next, I take some scrap plastic from packaging. I place the frame underneath it, and then I trace a slight outline that sits behind but on top of the frame. I hope that makes sense, because basically the point is that I'm going to want to kind of tape it over top so that it stays into place, even if temporarily. Off camera, I made this design in Canva. Year 2026, a cute image of a horse with the words "Gongxi Fai Ca," which basically means "I hope you get rich." So I take the plastic, place it over top, and I cut out an outline, and I make sure that sits behind the frame with the plastic as well. Then I take some tape and tape all around the edges. Then I take some magnets, some tiny magnets I had on hand, and I hot glue them to the back of the frame, one in each of the four corners, and then once it dries, I go ahead and take 4 more magnets and then let them magnetize themselves, and then add hot glue to the backs, and then glue them where I think it belongs, because I want to place them as centered as I can in that empty pie space. And here it is after everything is set. And here's the final result. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you know that I am currently selling personally designed t-shirts based off of my upcoming book, The Cancer Dragon? Here, I'm unboxing some orders from coworkers who I'm very grateful to for supporting my mission. If you were to ask me honestly, the idea for this logo came from my DIY Cancer Dragon wreath. My husband bought me a shirt once that said, "I kicked cancer's ass," but because of where I work, HR would have had a hissy fit over that, so I decided to design my own. To me, there's something to be proud of in becoming a Cancer Dragon Slayer, and I really hope my journey inspires you. I never planned on designing shirts for this, but as I kept creating and finding ways to express my life story, it just happened. I thought to myself, who else might love a shirt like this? On the back, the sayings are made for slayers, warriors, supporters, and even for honoring lost warriors. These shirts were created with all of you in mind, and I was so happy with the design that I wanted to make it available for anyone who feels connected to this journey. Okay, so here's the cover so far for my upcoming book. The basic gist of it is, I became diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, got pregnant during fertility treatments, refused to abort despite my doctor's warnings that I'd die at birthing my child. For book updates or to support me, scan the code or click the link below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.